Now let's get some analysis. We're now joined by political analyst Sandile Swana. Mr. Swana, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Let's get your reaction then about the latest developments. I want us to start with, your comments firstly on the Speaker's application to interdict her imminent arrest. Before we get to the motion of no confidence against her, in this 90-plus long application, the Speaker also seems to allude to the fact that criminal justice system is being abused here. Your thoughts?
Thank you so much. I think that the part where the Speaker is going in the direction of saying the criminal justice system is being abused, it is most unfortunate, because everybody that has got a problem, Ace Magashule being one of them, Zuma being another one, eventually through the Criminal Procedure Act, you have to be processed by the police and then taken through and then eventually given your docket. It is very clear which steps must be followed. So now when you go to court, an abuse of the court process itself, to go and pretend as if procedures are not there and procedures are not known as to how a person enters the criminal procedure, because this is a crime, and there's more than 5 million rands involved in this, and 2.3 of which is directly traceable to her. And the Prevention of Corrupt Activities Act says once you exceed 500,000, there's a minimum sentence of 15 years. She wouldn't have taken the leave if she didn't know that the game is up. She took the leave, the so-called special leave, which is also against the law. So she knows that the game is up, and she's now trying to blame everybody else by launching a spurious litigation.
And on that point, of the special leave, and as you rightfully point out, that is also, against the law. Just talk us through, the processes then that would have needed to be followed. I would imagine that is the role that her boss, President Cyril Ramaphosa, probably would have taken. But also in that vein, there's also another process that is currently happening now in Parliament, of course, with the DA starting that process of the motion of no confidence against her, which also just plays to what you are saying about the seriousness of the allegations that she's currently facing.
Yes, so what we now understand is that she has a right to be given leave, but her leave is simply a resolution that is passed by Parliament. Obviously, there must be proper procedure and proper reasons why it is given. Now she's taken something that should have been given to her by Parliament. In other words, they actually vote on it and agree that the Speaker, our Speaker as Parliament, must be on leave for this amount of time. You bear in mind that a court case can take 6 years, it can take so many years. So you need to have a sense when you say you are taking somebody on leave who is actually going to undertake a criminal case, which would then determine a fitness to hold office as to how far. Is it a 3 months leave? Is it 2 weeks leave? What do you do? But it must be a decision of Parliament. She cannot appropriate it. So the ANC has got to remedy that, and they can simply remedy that by bringing a motion that says, from their point of view, and they have the majority to do that, they are giving a 3 months leave. So until the elections are finished, another Speaker is put in and she disappears from that picture and then is processed through the criminal courts without disturbing Parliament. It's likely that the ANC may want to do something like that, but the motion, which is correct, by the way, that the DA and others may want to bring, is simply to show the judiciary and the public that Parliament is not falling into the same trap that Zondo had pointed out, that they are no longer providing any proper oversight over Parliament. So they are doing their job and they are doing it correctly. But that motion is not going to succeed. The motion of no confidence will not succeed because the ANC has got more than 57% of the votes in Parliament, and they are going to vote against it if it ever sees the light of day, and then close ranks, and that will be the end of that. But historically, the record will show for future reference that all the other parties and other members of Parliament did take action against the Speaker when it was clear that the Speaker herself is clear that she's about to be arrested.
Notwithstanding the motion, of course, not perhaps being, successful, what this call does, by whichever party, in fact, that brings it, to the fore, is that it does put a spotlight on the fact that the integrity of the institution has somewhat been tainted. I mean, our reporters have been speaking to various parliamentarians and other institutions who have been saying that, in fact, what she should do is resign to save the integrity of, the institution, which is Parliament. I mean, what should she do now? From a party perspective, there is that ANC internal policy structure that they will follow, but she has indicated in any event that she will not be pursuing politics, following the elections. But what is then the correct thing to do for her?
You must remember that when Cyril Ramaphosa received the letter, a notification about the possible impeachment from Justice Sandile Swana, that in fact, he has a case to answer. He actually prepared his letter of resignation and was ready to resign even without going through the impeachment, because there was a prima facie case that he has a case to answer. But it was the comrades, the likes of Pravin Gordhan, Anekom, the Premier of the Northern Cape, Samani Sol, the likes of Mbalula, the likes of Gwede Mantashe, who came in and told him to forget the idea of resolution and that they are going to quash this whole thing and keep him in office for as long as they feel that it is suitable for them, for their own interest, to keep him in office. So Nqakula is also going to take guidance, not only from her own conscience, but also from the consciences of the likes of Gwede Mantashe. If they feel that it suits them to keep her there, they will keep her there. And she will stay there as a disciplined cadre if ever there is such a thing.
And just talking about that, I mean, we are going into a very crucial election, irrespective of which party you want to think of. But one of the things that has come out, of course, in this development as it relates to the Speaker in her role within the party is that, this is an individual who has been questioned before, even in her role in other spaces, particularly as the defense minister. This is something that the ANC should have, prevented early on, years back, and now it's playing itself out in an election where the ANC is currently wanting to hold on to power more than ever.
Yes, Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula has had previous cases, and she should have left the cabinet and parliament long ago. She had a case where she went to use the defense aircraft as a taxi to smuggle a person into the Republic of South Africa, I think from Congo. And then again, in the case where, her role in the insurrection of July 2021 left much to be desired. And that is why she was moved from that position, because she failed to protect the people of South Africa. More than 300,000 people died. Was to have a defense force here that could have taken action, and she couldn't activate the defense force in a speedy fashion, including the special forces, to go and quell that violence in KZN and elsewhere where the violence was taking place decisively. She didn't do that. Instead, it appears as if she condoned the insurrection. In my judgment. So she didn't need to be promoted to become the Speaker of Parliament because she had a long history of misgovernance. On top of that, the likes of General Bantu Olomisa by 2020 had already compiled a dossier to show Parliament and the public, as well as the police, that there is a case for Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula to answer related to the corruption. And the ANC and the intelligence services knew about that. Therefore, she was already unfit to hold this office already in 2020 and before. She was already unfit for a long time. So they've created this problem for themselves, but they've always created scandals before elections before. And their electoral support has declined in any event over the years. They are on a downward spiral and they are going to go out of power regardless in any event.